Broad Street Review Podcast, Philly's online hub for arts, culture, and commentary, where art and ideas meet. I am your host, Darnell Radford. Today on the podcast, director Ozzie Jones stops by to talk about Passover, written by Antoinette Nwandu. This production will be presented at Hawthorne Park and is a co-production between Theater Exile and Theater in the X. Here is my interview with Ozzie Jones. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Darnell Radford, and today I'm in the virtual studio with director Ozzie Jones. Ozzie, welcome back to the podcast. Great to have you.
What up, yo?
How's life been treating you?
Oh, man, life is good. God is good. Family's good.
That's great.
Everything is Gucci.
I'm glad. It's been tough not seeing all the faces that we normally see when we go out to the theater, when we hang out in lobbies. We're just out and about in the world, but soon we'll get back to all of that, and looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool with me because I live a socially distanced life. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I feel like, my day job is in IT, so I could definitely work in a closet. It's not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't be around a whole bunch of people no more anyway. So I'm all good.
I do feel like that's going to be different on the other side. While we do miss some people, we're going to look forward to being able to kind of, duck out of a theater as soon as the show's over.
I've been doing that since I was 20. Yeah, so it's all good.
Where's Ozzie? I wanted to tell him how great this show was. It was amazing.
He left.
All right, so we're here to talk about the co-production of Passover, which was written by Antoinette Nwandu. This is a co-production between Theater Exile and Theater in the X.
Yep.
So we're excited for that.
No doubt.
And so we did a little bit of the catch up there, and we're going to jump right into it. So tell us about Passover.
I mean, it's really interesting because Deborah Block is the artistic director of Theater Exile. And I've known Deborah 25 years, something like that. And, you and I have talked at length before.
Mm-hmm. So
you know that, and I think I've literally said this sentence to you before, but as an artist, I say yes to the person and not the project. So if somebody I love and feel good vibes from and all of that, if they're like, oh, yo, I want to work with you on something, I say yes. And my feeling is always, I don't care what the script is. If there's a problem with the script, or if something isn't figured out or worked out, it gets worked out much easier if there's love in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read it, and I was like, whoa, this is super hit. But I said yes to Deb. I didn't say yes to the play. I said yes to her before I read it. And then I read it, and I was like, oh shit, this is hit. And what's interesting is, now that we've gotten into rehearsal, well, not getting into it, but it's done now, but we've had rehearsal, I'm like, oh wow, it's way smarter and more intricate and more intense and better written than I even knew when I read it. And you and I talked about this before, but it's really important to me that as Black people, we add to the canon. Mm-hmm. Right? like that the canon of important literature and important voices has us in it at its, in my personal view, at its core. And I've never met Antoinette. I can't even pronounce her last name, but Sis wrote something that is 100% going to join the canon. Like it's not just a good show. It's one of the better written shows I've read in a very long time. So, and you know, it's a pleasure. And also I love working with young artists. So the men in the show are young. A lot of the staff that Theater Exile has is young people. And the sister that wrote it is young and is about to get her shit on Broadway. And that's just dope. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's dope. You know, and I like being a part of things that are dope.
Yeah, definitely. I missed this production at Clairteau in 2018. I was a member. I was a Lincoln Center member, but I don't think that year. And so this has been on my list because it's been on Exile's website for, you know, since the beginning of the season. And but it had a, you know, date to be determined. So I had it in here, and I didn't even think to get to go get a copy of the script and read it ahead of time until like last week.
Yeah, script's amazing.
So I've had one read, and I was sitting there saying, like, some of the jargon is going to go over some people's heads, but then at the same time, there's an adjustment you just get right in.
Yeah.
And then I also felt like I was thinking of, oh man, there's so many people in my life who are not theater people who would really resonate to this. This dialogue speaks right to a community and pulls them into the struggle that these two men are going through. And as you read through and you get in, like, you just, there's like hope, and then it's a circle. It's a vicious circle that you just feel like, shit.
Yeah. I mean, I like the sarcasm of it too. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what they're gonna do at Lincoln Center, but I know I leaned into how funny it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I like how funny it is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
I noticed there are a lot of lists in this production.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because I'm thinking about these conversations where you just sort of, where you just have a list of things you want to talk about. And
right.
you know, where they're talking, you know, where's the whole explanation about the food that's in the basket, where you know, your top 10 list. And and then it wasn't even until the second act where some of the items on the food list really started to resonate even deeper, where I was like, pie, interesting. And I, at that moment, I said, and this is where the entire audience goes, oh. You know, because it's like, oh no. So we've kind of gone through first impressions, but let me know, like, what were your thoughts after your first read here? Like, how did your gears start going on this piece, you know, after the read?
Well, as an artist, I kind of feel like theater is one of those things that you don't really know what a text is until you hear it read. So, you know, like, there's been a lot of times where I've read a play and I've been like, oh my God, that's pretty cool. And then I hear actors read it and I'm like, oh my God, that sucks. And then there's been times where I've been like, I've read something and I've been like, oh, that kind of sucks. And then you hear actors read it and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that happens with David Mamet all the time. Like, when you read David Mamet's stuff on the page, like Glengarry Glen Ross and House of Games, you know, you're like, all right. And then you let actors put it in their mouth and you're like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
that's amazing. And I think this is very much like that. So one of the things that has really moved me about this experience is I've gotten to work on something that is new and that grows like stuff that is old. And that doesn't happen all the time. Like, you know, you got plays and you're like, oh my God, okay, that's a really good play. And then, you know, you run across an August Wilson where you go, okay, I thought that was good when I read it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's the 10th time I've read it, and it's even better. And now I've heard actors read it, and it's even better. Now I've seen it performed, and it's even better. And now I've seen it performed for the 10th time, and it's even better. And I think that this sister has written something that could do that. And that is special and important in a back to the conversation that you and I were having when we were talking about the theater community. It's imperative that Black people, in my personal view, stop thinking of the theater like hire me more, and start thinking of it like redefining the canon.
Yeah.
Redefining what everybody does, like putting us at the center of intellectual, philosophical, political, aesthetic thought for everyone, which is what white people did for themselves, right? And I think a lot of times Black people fall into the groove of going, no, what I want is a job. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you need to hire more Black people. And for me, I don't think that's the conversation. I think the conversation is, you know, what kind of work are we making and how much do we bond together to force that work into the conversation for everyone?
Yeah.
And I think that this play does that. Like, I think that the mistake as a director in this play would have been to direct it as if it was only a racial statement. And I know, and again, you and I have spoken in the past, but I know I personally hate talking about what I do on purely racial matters. Like, I have aesthetic vision. I have intellectual vision. I have, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, an object. You know what I mean? Like, I think things.
Yeah.
And I think things deeply. And I'm not just Black any more than James Joyce is just Irish. Right? So one of the things I love about the play the most is that it talks about us. It talks about our situation. But this sister Antoinette is also doing her thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's getting loose. She's getting loose with the style, with the form, with the technique, with the philosophy. And, you know, and that's my steez. Like I love that. I love that. Like, I ain't trying to be, what's the word? No object, no, yeah, I ain't trying to do that. So anytime I get to work on something that doesn't do that, it's like,
yeah. And telling our story, telling our stories, it is I can't see the makeup changing in this piece.
What do you mean? What do you mean makeup?
Like this is two young men on the corner with this additional character who is a white man.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't see this. I don't know if I can see this makeup any other way. Do you know what I mean?
You know what's so funny that you say that? And again, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but I think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the world right now, let's take Frankfurt for an example. Let's just take what K&A looks like right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could do this show with two young white men at K&A, keeping how much the word nigger is used, because we've gotten to a place where especially poor white people will say that to each other. Like, not talking to us, poor white people will look at each other and be like, nigga, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the show still works.
Yeah.
Still works. Now, I know, let me be clear, that I'm talking me. I don't think this is Antoinette's opinion. But I don't know if it is or isn't, because I haven't spoken to her. But for me, the core truth of what the play talks about at its front is about us. But this play could work if you set that corner on K&A and made it two junky white boys, and you made the Godot drugs. This play 100% works. And that's one of the reasons why I love the play. Because I think that Black people, and again, let me be very clear, this is my opinion, but I think as Black people, we need to start thinking about being in charge of everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Not us, everyone. Do you see what I mean? Everyone. The core. Not we need a African American Studies department, but that the study of what it means to be an American. You dig?
Mm-hmm.
The core is us. And in order to do that, we can't just think of, like, when you look at Shakespeare, right? When you look at, Romeo and Juliet. When you look at Hamlet, yeah? Like, that work is looked at by the earth as if it is a comment on the human condition. So it's not weird at all for Akira Kurosawa to do his version of King Lear, which was the movie Ron, right? And King Lear is all set in feudal Japan, right? Like, it's not weird at all for him to go, oh, I'm going to do my version of Macbeth, which was his Throne of Blood, and right? Like, so I just pray that Black people don't, in this moment, get too obsessed with identification. You know what I mean? And like, because you can do both, right? Like, you can chew gum and walk at the same time. Like, you can go, okay, I'm talking about my experience, my community, and make work that other communities, if they touch it, could go, oh shit, I see myself too. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I want to see us in charge of everything. Like, I'm not, like, we talked about this in the last conversation. Like, I'm not a diversity bull. Like, I don't want diversity. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. Like, I want competition. I want Black people could be it. Like, it for everyone. As opposed to you stay it and then you give me a job. That's cool to me. But again, I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah. And then more of these stories just come to the table by default. There's no, you don't have to have some deep think process to figure out where this comes from, because if you're trying to tell more stories that resonate with you, with your life, how you're coming up, you don't have to figure out if this checks boxes. Yes, I often tell people I interview, it's like, you don't have to tell us, don't give me the bullet points that allow us to check boxes for you. Let us find out. Let us go to your theater and see the makeup of who you cast and the production team. Like, don't tell me you have an all-female production team. Just have one. And
just do you know what I mean?
And like, just have capable people working and just know that they come from all walks of life.
And the work will be dope or it'll suck.
Yeah. But also you just get perspectives from a thought process that is more open than one that is very specific, because we are thinking, I do feel like a lot of theaters are thinking about what will the audience think, instead of they're coming here for education. I mean, they're processing some of this as gospel. They're looking at it like church.
Well,
in a way,
I mean, one of the reasons I love the theater is it is the secular church.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's a live event. So people come and they think about, right? Like, what they think, what they think about the people around them, what the people looking at them think. Like, when I think of my own life in the years that I've spent doing this, and I think about, I mean, it's funny because me and the sister that works here at Exile, we're actually just having a conversation right before I got on with you, where I was thinking about, like, the ways in which being a member of the theater has made me think about the opinions of communities that I'm not a part of. That if I weren't in the theater, I would never have taken myself through that intellectual process in the first place. And it's one of the reasons why when people always ask me what I do, I always tell them first that I'm a teacher, right? Because, like, a lot of times I think as theater artists and as musicians, we think of teaching like it's bartending, like, oh, well, I teach because I haven't gotten a job, or I teach because, I got to pay this or I got to pay that. But for me, it's the primary thing. Like, when I was a young man, I had the privilege of studying with and working with Lloyd Richards. And I think in one of the first conversations he and I had, he said to me, a director who's good should think of themselves as a teacher first. And, that just really stuck with me. You know what I mean? Like the man who directed Raisin in the Sun on Broadway with Sidney Poitier the first time said this to me. So I'm not a freaking idiot. So, that person says that to me, I'm going to listen. And then when I think of the men and women who I got to come up under as a young man, like Inazaki Shange and Mama Sonia Sanchez and Amiri Baraka and Lloyd and God Bless the Dead, Walter Dallas, and like all of them dealt with me teacher or student. You know what I mean? Like they didn't deal with me in a professional, I'm the boss, you're the worker. Like they didn't deal with me like that. Like they dealt with me in the old school kung fu movie, like you like in Kill Bill 2, like you climb the steps, you got up here, now learn the shit. You know what I mean? That's how Sonya dealt with me. That's how Walter dealt with me. That's how all of them dealt with me. So I feel the same compulsion.
Mm.
And ultimately what that means is that the art should come from a relationship you have with your students. Because you teach them, and cliched enough, you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're actually properly teaching, you learn from them. So I think I've said this to you before. Like I think a lot about I think of it as the Miles Davis rule, right? Like if your band is always monster 19-year-olds, then you remain hit until you die. You remain hit forever.
Yeah, and you stay relevant.
That's what I'm saying. And you know, and I say to people all the time, like it's young people that do new things. People my age don't do anything new. All we do is, if we're thinking in that way, we make it easier for the young to get down. And if you do the Miles Davis thing, you do it with them. So, and that's what I think, not to be too heavy, but that's what I think we need in the Black community, like a remelding of the elder and the young, which is what I think pre-Vietnam, pre-heroin, and definitely pre-crack, the Black community had. Like an understanding of, okay, this is an elder, right? That elder has a position, a voice, blah, blah, blah. This is the young. That young person has a, you know what I mean? They work under them, and then the elder supports the young. I mean, that's what happened to me. That's how like, I can only speak from my own experience, is that elders dealt with me like that.
Yeah. So
that's one of the things I love about Passover is, even though I've not met Antoinette, I'm significantly older than her. And, you know, like, I've been where she's at. Like, in the 90s, I had a gig at Lincoln Center. You did? And I had them crackers give me their ass to kiss. You understand what I'm saying? And felt like, damn, I'm out here by myself. So I know where she's at. So I embraced the fact of being able to go, oh, okay. All right, sis. Like, I got your play, do the thing to it. Like, I'd love it if I actually had the opportunity to work with her. But, you know, I am getting to work with her because I'm doing her words. But I think that connective tissue super matters, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about those students.
Which?
Your students.
Jared, oh, my students are the shit. Jared, like, well, we're doing this in conjunction with Theater in the X. Well, there's Theater XI and there's Theater in the X. And, you know, like, the artistic director of Theater in the X, Carlo Campbell, was, you know, one of my students for years. Like, he developed he started the idea for Theater in the X in our class. So like when Deb and I talked about how we were going to do this, and she was thinking about connecting it to Theater in the X, and I was like, oh shit, I'm suggesting we connect this to Theater in the X. Like, that's the thing I learned from August Wilson and Lloyd Richards is that was born in the classroom. Like, it wasn't born in commerce. It was born in the teacher-student relationship of the classroom. And I think America has become recently so anti-intellectual that people have become really obsessed with the idea of being an entrepreneur, right? Like I'm an entrepreneur, and that is the solution for all problems. That's dumb, because astronauts are not entrepreneurs, and geologists are not necessarily entrepreneurs, and pediatricians are not necessarily entrepreneurs, and architects. You understand what I mean? Like, yeah. There's a lot that makes the planet Earth happen that isn't somebody who's good at going, oh, what's the product? How much does it cost to make? I'll sell it at this, and then I make money from this profit margin. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. We as Black people have now been taught this narrative that, like, being an entrepreneur is the solution to our problems. Like, being an entrepreneur has something to do with the people who know the science to do cancer research, or the people who know the science to do HIV research, or the people who are working on the science that gets us to Mars. You understand what I mean? And I want to see Black people in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
But you don't get in the middle of the conversation of all of that talking about Black people like all we got to do is sell people more shit better. Right? Like that's how you end up with a generation like my generation who thought selling crack to people was the coolest thing in the world. Because we fell into this fairy tale that being an entrepreneur is just, oh my God, you're an entrepreneur. So now it's like, well, you don't need to go to college because you don't need to go to college to be an entrepreneur. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can sell the most masks, the most COVID masks. I'm going to make them really cool, and I'm going to sell them most. And that's how I'm going to get a mansion. And then I go out in the public sphere and I tell everybody that's going to change our community. But because I'm rich, yeah, I'm sending my kids to the best doctors in the world. I'm sending them to the best teachers in the world. You understand what I mean? I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And then I go on the TV or I go on the computer or whatever, and I talk about being an entrepreneur like it's a magic trick that's going to solve everything.
It often feels like it's low-hanging fruit. It's like you don't have to decide. You don't have to decide what it is you're doing. So it just sits under this umbrella. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm gonna go out and get this money. It's like, okay, and do what with that money?
And do what? Do what for us? Do what for yourself? Other than buy things. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of the things I really like about Passover a lot is the way it uses religious idioms, like Old Testament in particular idioms. And you know, it's like, you know, it's so funny. Like, I think that, I mean, this is a heavy place to take it, but you know, this is what we're talking about. Like, people talk about, like, I think a lot of times when it comes in the United States right now, when it comes to religious issues, like, people talk about the Bible in context of the political religious right. And those are two extraordinarily different things, right? I say that as somebody who's actually read the fucking document from beginning to end. And the Quran as well, from beginning to end. And there's a lot of political narratives that are put on both of those documents that are just 100% not what the document says, if you've actually read it. And it's so funny, like we talk so much about, you know, like, look, Bible's real clear that the root of all evil, it says all, not some, and it says all in the Greek as well, is the love of money. It don't say sexuality. It don't say gender. It don't say, like, all of that stuff that people be saying is evil. The book is very clear on what the root of all evil is. And it's the love of money, which is the source of all the killing, all the war. I mean, for real, when you look at the Catholic Church, like all the pedophilia and child abuse, like money didn't necessarily connect to the pedophilia and child abuse, but money was definitely the reason for protecting the fucking pedophiles and the scumbags. You think what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the play in its subtext deals with all of that. In a way that I did not know when I read it.
Yeah.
But once I got in the room and started really working, I was like, yo, sis was not playing around when she wrote this.
I love how sometimes one word just speaks volumes. Like I said about the pie, I didn't make that connection until later on in the piece. You know, the character Mr., you know, its translation later on, we Egypt, you know, all of these things. Yeah. It's just like,
well, Antoinette is clearly a poet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a real poet understands that, you know, a word has power.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So this is definitely one of those plays where nobody is ever just talking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like every word that you hear, not only did she think about and consider, but in this production, I thought about and considered, and the actors thought about and considered. And my girl, Melissa Dunphy, who did the sound, she thought about and considered. And Allie, who did the lights, she thought about and considered. You think what I'm saying? Like, like the whole play is very much a poem, which, and it being a poem means that all of us have to really think about and consider what's being said at all times. So there's no, when people come see this, they need to know that they're not hearing any word in it that does not work or has not been thought about on multiple levels. And I love that because I've been saying for years, I think I said this to you, like, I hate dumb more than I hate any other ism. Like dumb, I can't take. I can't take. Like stupid makes me itch. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes me itch. Like I got gonorrhea or something that makes me itch. Like I like to work on things that are smart. And Passover is entertaining and it is smart. And smart matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep going back to these elements that are continuously repeated throughout the piece. Getting up off this block. Like, you know, changing this situation we're in, getting out of this situation. They're young and optimistic, at least in the conversation they're having with each other about doing something different, and yet falling into this cycle because of circumstances,
Well, yeah, like,
situation.
I mean, one of the things I love about the play is the notion of circumstances is multifold. Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, people have physical circumstances, they have economic circumstances.
Yeah.
You have intellectual circumstances. People have mental health circumstances. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that finally people are talking about now that is a very new thing that I've seen is I haven't seen Black men talk about, yo, I might need a therapist
Mhm.
until recently. Because I know when I was a kid and as a young man, I never heard no shit about no therapist. Like the whole idea was, yo, if you don't stop it and pull yourself together, and you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then when you think about this play and what it talks about in community sense, like, we've got generations of people who did not go to Vietnam or Guatemala or Afghanistan or Iraq and grew up with gunfire all the time.
Mhm.
Well, the PSTD thing is real. Like, I just did this film during the pandemic called The Hail Mary, that was about a dude who was in Afghanistan and had PTSD. And, you know, but if you're a Crit, you got PTSD too. And if you're Blood, you got PTSD too. If you are Latin King, you got PTSD too. But I think a lot of times in the United States, we create these sort of fairy tale narratives that everywhere in the world is problematic in a way that we aren't. So again, back to what we were talking about originally in the conversation. Like, of course, I think that Antoinette means this when she writes this very much about Black men. But I want to be clear that in my experience of directing it, that I think it's bigger than that. Like, I think as the years go on, you know, there's some Irish kids in Belfast that could do this play and it makes sense. That, you know what I'm saying? Now, again, let me be clear. I have not met Antoinette. This is my opinion. And 100% she could disagree. I've not talked to her or met her, so she might disagree. But I'm just saying, one of the things I love about the play is I think it is at its core us. And I think it works in a larger context too. Like, and I'd love to see this play not be what happens with Black work very often, which is, you know, white folks will go, oh, we real into listening what the fuck y'all got to say now. And then when the heat come off, you don't hear from Black people at their institution or in their publishing house for a decade or 2 decades after. Like, prayerfully, that's not the case. And I think that this work works on multiple levels.
I was just thinking about how so much of the culture that we embrace here in the United States is manufactured outside of the country. You know, when you think about clothing, and so then when thinking about this piece in, you know, Ireland with a young theater company, you know, with 2 young actors, it becomes a question of relatability or appropriation.
No, I hear you. Again, And again, every time you and me get in the conversation, it always gets larger. Again, I got to be clear that I'm speaking for myself.
No, actually, I resonate with what you're saying, and I'm thinking about how all of these other elements, you know, we just sort of forget. Like whenever we see, you know, like a third world country, for example, we'll see young adults in a third world country wearing loud, bright colors that were manufactured for the United States. So much of what we call the culture here, the pop culture, is manufactured everywhere else. So people understand this; they can relate to this in a level that we just don't process all the time, and we're ultimately thinking that it's not for everybody because it's being made for us, but everyone. But there's so many ways for other people to pull themselves into it.
Can I stop you? Because again, it goes to what my ultimate opinion is, not only of this work, but of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And of Black people. There's no archaeologist that will say that human beings began anywhere other than Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of those scientific facts that is actually not under dispute, right? So talking about us, biological functionality is talking about everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm Aretha Franklin, right? And I go see my friend Otis Redding, and he's just written this song called Respect. And I go, oh my God, I love that song. Let me do it. Yeah. And I do it. Well, of course, and this is what I think about Passover, right? Like, of course, yes, you can directly connect that because Otis Redding is Black, because Aretha Franklin is Black. You can connect it to the civil rights movement that was happening at the time. You can connect it to the Black arts movement and the Black power movement that was going to happen right now. Of course. But the idea that white women understanding the feminist struggle through that song
Mm-hmm.
is somehow appropriation is not an insult to white women. It is an insult to us. Because when we talk, it's the core of everything. Muhammad, us. Jesus, us. Abraham, us. Isaac, us. King David, do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, I get the argument. All right, well, this is for us. We get our stuff appropriated, whoop-de-whoop. I get it. But like, I look at it in the other direction, right? Like if you're a young tenor singer, like a white man, and you got a tenor voice, and you hear Marvin Gaye for the first time, I'm wondering if you're racist if you don't go into your room and try to sound like him. Like that do you understand what I mean? Like that to me is an unfair criticism. And there are plenty of fair criticisms. Like you hear B.B. King for the first time and you play guitar. How do you not try to do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you play basketball and you see a video of Jordan, like how do you not go on the court and try to do that? Like it's an absurd criticism. And there's a lot of criticisms that you can make that aren't absurd. So why lean into one that is absurd is the way I look at it. So again, this is me. I have not talked to Antoinette I have not met her. She might 100% have the opinion that in the future, since God bless her, she just got this picked up by Samuel French and all of that, she might 100% be of the opinion that I only ever want to see Black people do this. I personally am not of that opinion. Because what I think she did in this play is bigger than that. And I think that over the years, this could join the canon like Tennessee Williams is in the canon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like I got to be white and Southern to do Captain High Tin Roof. But I think because of the immediacy and the open wound of American racism, like as Black people, sometimes we feel like we're only talking about ourselves. But I think what Malcolm figured out when he went to Mecca was, oh, hold up. Us talking about ourselves is also talking about everybody. Like the entire human race condition. And that's what I'm on. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. You know, what would be, if we were in a hot air balloon hovering above the production, what would be the takeaway? And I think that's it. Talking about us is talking about everybody.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you. That's what I want the audience that hears this to think when they come to see the show. Get off that liberal shit and just see yourself when you see us.
Yeah.
That's what I would like. Like, I don't want people coming and going, oh my God. Oh, I had Black people at it. So, like, fuck that. Stupid.
People have it so hard.
And if you don't see the violence and degradation and hatred of Black people and see yourself, then there's never going to be any change or shift. Because at the end of the day, people care about themselves. And I don't even mean that as a negative. Like, I think that's everybody. Like, you care about you, what happens to you, and what happens to who looks like you. But I think a lot of times when it comes to the issue of race, particularly in what's talked about in the play, is if you think of it as a Black people thing, then there's a limit to how much you're going to care. Where, you know, you really should be looking at it like Godot, like Waiting for Godot, right? Like the whole notion of Waiting for Godot is that, you know, the two of them are sort of waiting for the idea of God like we all do, right? And are figuring out, is this idea going to come or not? I think the mistake with this play would be for people to go, okay, well, two young Black men are waiting there, and there's no direct connection to how I feel about my own children or how I feel about myself to the circumstance that the two characters are in. Because I think if that's how people watch it, then, you know, they'll placate the show and they'll go, oh, you know, that was cool, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, it's terrible. And then they'll just going about their business. But I'm very much interested in people seeing my work and going, okay, that is the Black experience. And oh shit, it's my experience. Like, or no, not my experience, but oh, I can see ways in which that is my experience as well.
I always feel like our conversations end where they should begin. And I think,
you, brother.
and I think that that's an amazing moment, because it's a wonderful lead into the production. If you listen to this conversation and then go out and experience the production. Now we have these
and
layers.
let me not be too fancy about it. People should come because it's funny, and the actors are kicking ass.
Yes.
So just the entertainment part of it, like, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's there on the page too. There were many moments where I was smiling, but just the vernacular of it all was just like, I feel like somebody who thinks they're not a theater person would also relate to this as well, and not and totally wash away that thing that makes them feel like they can't come into the theater. Like, that's not for me, that's for other people. And I didn't feel that way about this piece. And that's why the poetic moments of the piece, how they strike you, it just I think if you're on the edge of your seat just tuning in, those are the moments that make you sit back and get comfortable, and you wait and you anticipate the rest.
100%.
Like, you want to consume all of this. And I also think that this is something that Theater Exile does very well. Every single production, it never ends at blackout. It always continues into the lobby. It continues on the walk home. And that's why you always have to have a +1. You have to bring somebody with you so you can continue to have this conversation.
Well, again, as I told you, like, I'm an artist that says yes to the person and not the project. So, what I know of Deborah Block, who runs it, is, she's cool as shit. So you're cool, you know what you're doing, you got good vibes, you understand the art form, you've got a good heart about it. I mean, whatever the script is, you know what I mean? Like, you can, in my view, you can make the phone book an interesting show if the vibes are good and the people are cool.
Yeah.
But then you get into a work and the work is extraordinary too. Like, there's no reason it shouldn't be fabulous.
Absolutely. Well, so I will let you go. This production, Pass Over, written by Antoinette Nwandu, directed by Ozzie Jones, is a co-production of Theater Exile and Theater in the X. It will be performed at Hawthorne Park, and you can get your tickets by going to Theater Exile, that's theaterre.org. Ozzie Jones, it is always a pleasure to have chat with you. And I get out of these calls and I'm like, I can't wait for my next opportunity to have a conversation with you. I'm looking forward to experiencing this production. I won't be there on opening, but I will be there. And
when you see it, make sure you tell me what you think.
Yeah, and the experience of being out there in the park, this will be one of the first, live performances I've been able to see. So this will be great. Ozzie, thank you so much. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your thoughts. And thank you for unpacking this production with me. This is truly a pleasure.
God bless you, dude.
Bless you too. I always enjoy talking to you.
Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Contribute to find out how. Connect with us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter at Broad Street Review. Thank you for helping to keep the conversation going.